Good morning and happy Tuesday. Oh, yes. I am here sitting in my basement on a Tuesday morning to answer your traffic and police questions. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day, even if it's not always online. I just talk about it. Sometimes I'm alone. It's important stuff. So I hope you're doing well. Stuff and things I want to talk about, lots of it, really. But we'll wait until we let the music end. No reverb, no thing. I got to hit the ball. We're on Instagram. We seem to be working everywhere. Awesome. Hope you're having a great day. It's a little wet outside, a little warmer than I was expecting. It's like +5 right now. And I did my walk to school with the kids, and it wasn't snowing. And I'm kind of ready for snow. I'm also ready for snow because I have my winter tires on. See what I did there? If you haven't invested in winter tires, consider it. All weather are really 3-season. All season are really 3-season. All weather are capable of 4-season driving, but really they're not as good as a dedicated snow tire or winter tire. I keep calling them snow tires. Let me just cut and paste them. Snow tires are for snow. Winter tires are for cold weather. They are made of a rubber compound that keeps them pliable, softer in colder weather, helps you maintain grip and traction and all that jazz. They are what you want. Dedicated winter tires, I keep saying snows, are going to keep you in a better position than a Swiss Army knife that does everything. So why do I keep harping on this? Because people have this false sense of security with these all seasons and especially all weather. No, let's reverse those. All weather are better than all seasons, but the Swiss Army knife tires make people feel safe because they have a little snowflake on them, or sometimes they don't. But they're not the same as having a tire that's really good for the specific weather. If you have one that is good, some people say, well, that's also a false sense of security on that side, and the uh, having a tire doesn't magically fix your driving, and that's true. You still have to drive to the conditions. You still have to be safe out there. But it's a big difference. It's a big difference. I'm not paid to tell you that you should buy a winter tire. I'm not endorsing a specific company. I'm just saying do your homework and consider it as a good option. Some people say I can't afford it. I get times are tough. It is expensive to have the outlay of another set of tires and rims, or depending on how you do it. But here's the one thing that people don't consider: your tires all last twice as long. See, if you drive a single set of tires all year round, they last as long as they will last. But if you divide that time amongst two sets of tires, you have each set of tire lasting twice as long. It's just a thing. It's just what it is. Let's see here. What do we got here? We got some chase stuff. Okay, we got stuff and things coming in. Let me put 30 minutes on the clock because if not, I will talk too long. And this is my new way of reminding me that I have time and then I have to go. See how that works? Yeah. I only added 3 minutes to the show by not turning it on right away, but hey, I talk too much. All right. Chase says, good morrow. Good morning to you, Chase. Kayla Draconis comes in with greetings and salutations. Hey, hey. Captain, spelt with a K, wants to know if I got fired or I retired. I did not get fired. I chose to leave early, and that's because I wanted to retire and spend time with my family who needs me more now than they did before. It's not a matter of getting in trouble. I didn't get fired. A lot of people concerned for me. Don't be concerned. I'm doing okay. In fact, I'm still doing stuff like this and will possibly still do stuff with the Toronto Police. We'll see. There's lots of opportunity for me to spread good word and good information. So appreciate the question. Moving along. LJ says, good morning. Saw you were on last night, but it's way too late for me. Yeah, I was on like at 9:30 to 10:30 last night. Again, whenever I have pockets of time that I can contribute, this is so going back to how I started with the police. I was an auxiliary officer. I volunteered my time. I'm sort of doing auxiliary work right now. I'm not getting paid for it. I'm just doing this because I want to help people out. Answering their traffic and police questions is a way I can contribute. So I do. Kurt Lowe says, good morning, my friend. Good morning, Kurt. Hope you're doing well. That's coming in on Kurt's on Instagram. So that's where I'm saying hello back. I do my best I've got lots of windows here, many computers. So I'm trying to keep everybody, in the know. Only got 30 minutes, so I'll try and babble less and move on with lots of questions. Okay. We got Chase with a long one. Also, to add to this discussion, lots of people think they don't need snow tires because they have all-wheel drive. That may help you get unstuck, but it won't improve your stopping distance or cornering. You're very right, Chase. One of the number one vehicles we see on the side of the road during storms are those SUVs that, oddly enough, got up to speed and may have gone faster than their counterparts with two-wheel drive or, small cars that don't have all-wheel drive. And the tiny cars are doing just fine, slowly and safely. But the cars that got up to speed quickly did looked really good until they didn't, and then they in the ditch waiting like everybody else. So you still need you still need to know how to drive. You still have to be cautious and safe. And I love all-wheel drive, or in my case, four-wheel drive, where I can dial what I want. I don't use it very much, only if it's really deep or thick snow and I'm having some traction issues. Otherwise, it stays in two-wheel drive, and I'm just fine. Does burn a little more gas, but hey, what can you do? If you haven't seen the episode, check out my friend Brian Max at Brian Max on YouTube. We can get him on Twitter as well. And he just did a review, and I was there for it, of the Ineos Grenadier. Man, that's a cool truck. I mean, it is a bare bones beast of an off road vehicle. Doesn't look like anything special. It looks like an old Land Rover, Range Rover, but it was fun to drive. And yeah, check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. Great episode, not too long, just the right amount of time. Okay. Let's see here. We got Bernhard 22 says you can find a decent deal for used winter tires. Good luck all. I've never been. I know I have lots of friends who buy used tires, and yeah, you can find deals out there. People change cars. They don't want to give the winter tires to the dealership when they trade in, so they sell the tires on their own. I've got a friend of mine who buys, what are they called? One-offs, basically people who buy a brand new vehicle and immediately take off the rims and tires and sell them as a package because they've gone off and bought something cooler, more fun, more interesting for themselves. So there's great deals to be had on the used market. I'm just, you got to make sure you know what you're buying. Let's see here. Oh, lots of this, lots of this. Okay, we'll come back to the TikTok stuff in a second. I had a note here. What was my note going to say? Tint. I was talking about Tint this morning on X because that's where there's been a lot of dialogue recently, and someone said that tinted windows and tinted license plate covers are dangerous. I don't think that tinted license plate covers are dangerous. They don't actually create harm. They create a difficulty for reporting to police and for police investigations. But the tinted windows are a risk, and they do increase the danger to road users. So I'm actually working on an article which I'll publish on X later. So if you don't follow me there, voiceovercop.com, or voiceovercop.com does go to me, but voiceovercop on X or trafficcop.ca anywhere will take you to any one of my platforms. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Have you noticed that TikTok has been ordered to shut down operations in Canada? Now, they haven't banned the app, but they have told their offices to close because I actually have no good reason. People have come on and commented on a video I put up on this topic saying, well, you don't have, secret squirrel status, so you don't know what's really going on behind closed doors. Okay, maybe, but I've been to their offices and there was no crazy secret squirrel stuff going on that I could see. I did have a great coffee though. Anyway, I think that closing their offices would suck. I think it would mean bad things for Canadian content creators and businesses that rely on the TikTok offices in Canada. And I think it's a bonehead move, but that's just me. Let's get back to traffic stuff. Okay. Perfection Dreamer says regulations control this, please. No idea what you're talking about. What's the context of your comment? I got a dad joke comment with no dad joke, so that didn't work out, Michaela. Let's see here. Left Lane says, "You're so lucky, sir, to retire. I got so many years to go." Well, I'm not really retired. I'm retired from policing, but I have many, many years that I plan on working. I'm just not going to be a police officer doing the trek downtown anymore. I'm now self-employed and working with not-for-profits and consulting and doing my own thing. So I have a lot more flexibility in my life, which is what I needed for my family. Okay. I think we should Skype in Sergeant Campbell if you do these hours again. I don't disagree with you. I have the same software. I've got the ability with Restream to bring in guests. So I'd love to have Murray come in. And now I can call him. Well, I guess I should still call him Sarge, but now I'm not a member of the police service. I can just say, Murray, what's up? Feels weird. Okay. Owen wants to know what my thoughts are on low cars. Low cars, if they're not unsafe, I don't have a problem with them, but many of them have, their suspension cut, or they're just too low to be practical for city use. People that have to drop down their speed to a crawl to go up to get at the Costco or to get gas, or when they go up on a curve, they have to. The ramp of a driveway, they have to go on a 45-degree angle and then two wheels teeter off the ground. Like, it's stupid. It's unsafe. So, if you have it too low, I don't agree with it. If it's not too low, I have less of an issue with it. Did I lose the okay, Owen, how far away? Oh yeah, we looks like we have to reset the chat. We'll get you in just one second. But Owen was the last question on the TikTok that came through. I'm gonna try and do some CPR on the chat. Uno momento, por favor. That's the extent of my multilingual ability. Okay, we'll try turning relay mode on and see if that makes a difference. Hopefully it does. Mabaza 10 says, I'd love to come on your show. Let me come on your show. Mabaza, well, what do you want to come on my show and talk about? Are you a police officer? Send me a DM. Happy to chat. I mean, obviously, guests are good. It's good to have guests. Said say things twice. Okay. Chase says, for anyone buying used tires, check the date code and make sure they aren't older than 5 years. Make sure there are no plugs, patches, and make sure there's no cracking. And that's really good advice, because what people don't understand, it's the same thing for buying helmets and car seats. Aside from the fact that I would not buy a helmet used, nor would I buy a car seat used, plastics and foam and rubber age out. They actually deteriorate. They become brittle, and they don't work well for safety if that's the case. So if they're too old, they won't help you the way that they are supposed to. So yeah, good advice from Chase. Any idea why any idea why Canada isn't part of the Creator Fund? No idea. Uh, yeah, I have lots of opinions, but none of them are based in fact, so I will choose not to share them. But I don't know why. Everybody else has it, but we don't get it. It's not fair, which is what somebody said after I gave them a ticket for a headlight once upon a time. Okay, dad joke. I'll flag that for later. Can motorcycles drive between cars when stopped in traffic or when traffic is stopped? So that's lane splitting or lane filtering. It's not legal in Canada. It's not legal in the majority of the United States either. But it does happen a lot. And you can be charged with careless driving, stunt driving, or even criminal dangerous driving, depending on what the officer sees and the observations they make. Because oddly enough, it's not safe. Even where it is legal, like in California, the California Highway Patrol has said it's not safe and use extreme caution when doing it. It's on their website. All right, going into the manual mode of scrolling through some TikTok stuff. By the way, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer. I used to work for the Toronto Police, and now I do this stuff on my own when I have time. I share the knowledge because it's something I can do and I want to help out. But if you don't already follow me, please do. Share the live, click the likes. If you're on TikTok, you can smash the screen until your fingers go numb. Really helps out because this is a weird time. I used to do this all the time this early, and lately, or last couple of years, it was 10 a.m. And now I'm doing it whenever I have a spare time. So it's hard to let people know. So if you share the live, well, then people will know. Okay. Regulations. This is what I don't understand. Okay, let's look at this. We have, how common are violations related to passing school buses? Danny, they're incredibly common. It happens far too often. And we need more enforcement. In fact, in Ontario, they've not just, but in the last couple of years, they've changed the Highway Traffic Act to accommodate automated enforcement to be put into place. And some jurisdictions are testing it. So that means they can put a camera system on a school bus, and if you pass the school bus, it triggers an enforcement camera to take your picture and send you a ticket, same way that you get a red light camera or speed camera, which I think is awesome. I think automated enforcement is the way of the future. It's what we should be doing to free up police officers so they can do other things that are even more important. Because this is important stuff, but how do you prioritize? How do you make yourself available to do all the smaller stuff that may lead to collision and injury, and also be available for all the major stuff that is happening right now? You can't be everywhere all the time. We don't have enough police officers on the ground doing the work that's needed. So we're in a pickle, aren't we? Automated enforcement will help that out. Okay. Juice says, I know you're a traffic officer, former, but what's your opinion on Toronto's rooftoppers? I don't even know what a roof topper is. Maybe I'm too much of a traffic officer. Yeah, let me know what that is. Okay. How does a citation affect the driver? That's from Elo Trapper. What kind of citation? Because there's a citation is a ticket, and a ticket could be for anything. So if it's a ticket that's moving violation related to your driving, it's going to affect your driver's license status. You're going to accumulate points, which could work to the police service taking away your license. Toronto Timepiece Show. Good day. I see you just jumped in. If you're talking about, a citation for parking, well, that's different. That's going to go against your license plate if you don't pay it, but there's no consequence to your driver's license. So it really depends on what you did and what that'll be what happens next. What is this? Got a ticket for wrong way. What is this? Does it? Let's see if I can get. Okay, trying to catch up because the live is working again. Does it avoid your insurance company if you don't wear a helmet while riding a motorbike? What does it avoid your? If you're not riding if you're not riding with a helmet, you get a ticket and it does go against your license. So your insurance company would see a conviction of that if you were convicted. Now, if you're part of a group that's eligible for a religious exemption, if you're a practicing member of the Sikh community, you don't have to wear a helmet. Still should wear a helmet, but because it doesn't change the safety of it, the lack of safety. So that's a thing. All right, let's see. I think we caught up. If I missed you, I apologize, but we'll keep on moving. Okay. I see Chase is weighing in on that. All right. Tarek says Christmas. What are we talking about in Christmas? I only see okay, maybe because acknowledge that here's your comment. Just don't know what you're talking about. Because the rest of it, scrolling back to see if I can find it. I don't see your original comment, even when I manually scroll through. All right. I'm nodding like they know I'm nodding to them. Toronto Timepiece Show. I read your good morning and I nodded in your direction because that's from nonverbal communication doesn't work online. Okay. We got this. We got that. Tree 40 says, why do I see broken cars that should be ticketed for their headlights, exhaust leaks, etc., but car enthusiasts get ticketed for keeping up with our vehicles? So that's throwing shade at rust buckets and pieces of crap that are driving down the road. Those vehicles are generally inspected and held to account, but the drivers are not drawing a major amounts of attention because they're not doing burnouts or creating a lot of noise. Now, if they have an exhaust that's making noise, they're going to get pulled over and inspected as well, just because they didn't manually modify or by choice modify their vehicles to make unnecessary noise. They're still violating the law and they're in fact creating unnecessary noise. And just because you don't see it being enforced doesn't mean it's not occurring. What you are doing is doing the punch buggy. So if you've ever driven around and someone decides it's the punch buggy game where you say no punch buggy blue, no punchbacks, the game when you're driving with your family to, out of town. Well, unless you're looking for something, you're not going to see something. So if you are looking and you're part of the car community, you look for all the people in the car community who are getting, harassed by being enforced by laws that affect them. And you're probably ignoring the Volkswagen that's doing its business every day, even though it might be getting enforcement on it too. Does that make sense? Your bias is determining that you think one group is getting enforcement when the other group is being ignored. It's not the fact. It's not the case. The fact is everyone's getting enforcement based on their behavior, activity, or status of their vehicle. And some people just can't fix their car, so they take the ticket and keep driving it. Just like the folks who modify their cars and consider it a subscription system. So they have illegal tints, but they'll take their ticket one at a time, or they lower their vehicle when it's unsafe and they continue to drive it unsafely. They consider it a subscription system. Raging Cajun says, morning, Shappy. What's going on? Good to hear from you this morning. Okay. Moving on. Okay, we talked about that. Chase says, why is it that a certain person with a religion does not have to wear a helmet while riding a bike? So this is, I wonder if it looks like it's a different Chase. But the deal is that there's a religious exemption, and there are other provinces that did it first, and Ontario followed suit. And Think about it. If you weren't allowed to ride a motorcycle because your religious beliefs prohibited you from wearing a helmet, and you couldn't have that bike that you love so much because you're being true to your faith, I get it. I don't agree with the safety aspect of it, but I understand that we're excluding people based on things that are beyond their control. Should they stop believing in what they believe in because they want to ride a motorcycle, or should there be an exemption? I actually have to believe that we shouldn't exclude people based on things that you know that are important to them in that way. If you want to have if you want to have chocolate cake every morning, no one's going to stop you. That's not a good analogy. But chocolate cake for breakfast would be weird. Okay, moving on. Uh, When in wax we trust. I wasn't sure Raging Cajun who Raging Cajun was, but now I totally, especially when you open with Shappa Doodle Dandy. Yeah, I figured it was you when very few people call me Shappy. So okay. What do we got this? KK says, I heard the Toronto police shall run. They stop at 7:05 and don't even let you run longer. Sounds about right. They make you pass for the purposes of testing, and it's not a competition to see who can get more. You don't get more points. When you're at the police college, though, expect them to push you right to the end when you puke, because you know they care. But the truth is, if you pass, you pass. Why would we have you continue? Yeah. It used to be a 6.5 was passed and 7.5 was a higher grade. Now 7.5 is just 7.5. Tree 40 says literally no exhaust modifications, and I got pulled over driving past 20 kilometers a cop. You were doing 20 kilometers an hour, or you're doing 20 kilometers over the posted speed limit when you passed a cop. And does your not modified exhaust have a snap, crackle, and pop burble tune? Because stock, if it's obnoxious, it might still be obnoxious. Okay. I won't even try and decode your username, but they say, "Hey, I'm curious on the exact law for underglow kits in Ontario. It's all over the place. There is no exact law for underglow, and that's one of the reasons why we see so much confusion. So, thanks for bringing it up. The deal is that underglow, if installed properly, will probably never cause an issue for you legally. It's when the bulbs are visible and you're projecting light forward or back, because there's headlight and taillight laws that say you cannot project anything other than red or amber to the rear, white or amber to the front. So if you've got purple underglow that blinks to the music, and I can see that being shone forward, well, now you're projecting purple forward and it's against the law, so you're going to get a ticket for the headlights. That's where it gets confusing, because there's a bunch of laws that are on the books that aren't underglow laws but still deal with lighting on your vehicle. There's lighting standards. Liz, how you doing? Long time no see. Okay, moving on. Do you move over for green lights, firefighter vehicles? I move over anyway, but just don't know. This is automotive addiction. Thanks for bringing it up. I saw a vehicle at Costco last couple of days, and they had green lights, and they weren't volunteer fire. They were volunteer medics, and they also have an exemption under the Highway Traffic Act to have the green lights. So, what do the green lights mean? Well, they're a courtesy light, really. There's no law that says you must get out of their way, but I'm glad you move out of the way. I move out of the way too, because that's a volunteer firefighter or paramedic, and they are on their way to save the day in their own special way. And if you're not letting them through, you might be the reason someone dies. Happy thoughts, right? Get out of their way. There's no reason that you shouldn't. Now, they're not allowed to speed, they're not allowed to run red lights, but they are just they're just asking you to get out of their way so they can make a few seconds faster, which means getting to someone to save their life. Raging Cajun wants to know, says, "Hey, Shappy, I'm in an HOV lane. Does a newborn baby in a car seat count as a second person to qualify for HOV? I'm sure the answer is yes, but I figured I'd ask." It's a great question. People ask if an unborn baby, being a pregnant woman carrying child, would count. That does not count. But once they're born, they are in fact human and count as a passenger. But they tend to look like there's nobody in the car because you got the baby bucket there. And because it's a baby bucket, police officer can't see, head and shoulders. So they pull you over, and very quickly they will let you go. But yeah, the answer is yes. Children count. Fur babies do not, which disappoints many, many people. Let's see here. Motorcycle chase. If your son has a learner's and is driving with you and has been drinking without you knowing, if they've got a learner's permit and you're the supervising driver, well, a they're still going to be in violation. You, who is allowing them to drive in violation of the condition of their license, could be responsible. I mean, alcohol, you can smell it. They don't have to be impaired. They have to be more than zero. So I think you'd have a very difficult time justifying how you didn't realize that your son that smells like they had a beer and you didn't know. So there's no reason that a learner's permit driver has to be behind the wheel if they've had alcohol. They're a learner's permit. Ask the questions or don't let them drive. You can even, if you really want to be a stickler, get a cheapy Alka test. You can get them on Amazon. You can actually get a real Alka test that's designed for home use. It's a couple $100, and you can test to make sure they are zero. If you really want to be, if you're so concerned that they would lie to you, then maybe you need to invest in a machine like this. Now, as a driver or as a supervising driver, you must be sober. You must be under 0.05 BAC, which is blood alcohol content, in order to supervise them. Otherwise, they're considered unaccompanied, even though you're in the car, even though you have a license. Things to know. 555 Farang. Oh, okay. Farang, Lao, Canada. 555. I want to know more. They want to know if the OPP, what is it? Should the OPP target what? Oh, this is someone who has very deep concerns about the conflict in the Middle East and the fact that they use the word Zionist, uh, protect Zionists. Well, first of all, what is a Zionist? Most people have no idea what a Zionist is, but they use it to try and be offensive. So when you can figure out what a Zionist is and tell me what it is, then I'll answer your question. Let's see here. What's the charge for running Christmas lights on your vehicle on the road? Improper headlights could be an issue. Unsafe. I don't think it makes the grade for unsafe. So I saw an article, thanks to one of our followers who sent me a link to an article where someone was pulled over and cautioned. So the deal is, like I talked about earlier, the yes, Raging Cajun, 100%. So the deal is that if you have red lights to the front and they're flashing, that's a violation. If you have blue lights to the front and they're flashing, that's a violation. If you have blue red light at all to the front, it's a violation. Like there's a whole bunch of things. I was having a discussion with they have a bunch of icons or emojis instead of a thing. So I'll just call them dumpster fire because I think it's a garbage truck in their username. But they talked about the fact that we're trying to justify how blue light to the front should be okay. Well, if the lighting standard says you can only have amber or white, well then you can't have blue. But even the problem is the HTA is very cryptic. It's got lots of different sections that cover different areas, so I understand the confusion. However, you can't have those colors. Now, if you had amber, which is not very Christmassy, and it was all amber and was all solid, I'd say you had very little to for police or anyone to argue with. Now, here's the thing: if I pulled you over, I'd wish you a Merry Christmas. I would have had an issue with Christmas lights. Granted, low voltage lights would be better. You don't want something that is a massive distraction, but still, Merry Christmas. Okay, Toronto Road Cam says, early stream. You are so right. And it's an early stream that's ending very shortly. So I got 4.5 minutes until I have to say goodbye. Punky says it's just another cop cash grab. I don't know what you're referring to because tickets have nothing to do with cash grab. We don't get it. If we got commission, I'd be a very wealthy man. But the deal is that tickets are just a way of changing behavior. If I give you a ticket, maybe you'll change your behavior. If you're talking about something in relation to a stock vehicle, most stock vehicles being driven and pulled over for noisy exhaust are being driven in such a manner that they create noise that is unnecessary. Goofy footwork on the pedals. Let's see. Tree 40 says, okay, so Tree 40 in the discussion of car meets, they say, yeah, to a certain extent, but when we have peaceful car meets, we are told to leave or we get ticketed. That's because you're meeting on private property and you don't have permission of the landowner, or you're in York Region, which has prohibited any car meets from occurring. And like you can, for holding one, you can have like a $10,000 fine. So yeah, if the rules say you can't have a meet, peaceful or otherwise, you don't have a meet. You go somewhere that they accept you. That's just the way it is. There's rules. And to say that it makes no sense if no one is doing anything illegal, no one is doing anything illegal at the time that you're involved, maybe, but you invite people and illegality may occur. They used to say no dancing because, what is it? No dancing because dancing leads to kissing or something like that, like old school. Uh, you know what? When you bring a bunch of cool cars together, it just takes one jackass to start doing something stupid and illegal, and then it ruins it for everybody. That's really what's happened to the car scene is you've had a bunch of bad actors that have ruined it for everybody, and unfortunately, it's too late to back it up. Toronto Road Cams wants to know if you can make a U-turn at an intersection with a no left turn with no left turn signage. Well, here's the deal. A U-turn starts off as a turn, complete or incomplete. It's a turn. I would argue that the no left turn signage means no U-turn either. And there's also no left turn lane at a no left turn intersection, which means you're interfering with traffic as well. So I'm going to go with no, not legal. I would ticket someone for that. Canadian Cowboy talking about the subscription system for violations and issues with vehicles. That tickets are typically cheaper than the repair, and I'll agree with you to some degree. The deal is this: if I pull you over and charge you for having an improper vehicle that is unsafe because of that, and I give you the courtesy of letting you drive away, and someone pulls you over and sees that you've been charged for it already, they can now send you by summons to court. They could prevent you from driving further. They could say that you're instructed now that this vehicle is unsafe and we're pulling your plates. They can be escalations depending on what the violation is. But expect things to get more serious, especially if it's something like tint. 1, 2 tint charges and you're not fixing it. I'm going to give you a summons to court. You're going to be told directly to go to court and arrive at a specific time and explain to the justice of the peace why you don't want to follow the law. Okay. So Tree 40 talking about car meets where they're relocating. If it's an illegal car meet, which is any car meet in New York region, for instance, relocating doesn't stop you from breaking the law. You're still breaking the law. I don't know what jurisdiction you're in. I don't know what they told you. I don't know why they told it to you. But if you're trespassing and you're having car meets, go to Tim Hortons and have coffee. Then you're a customer. You're just being a customer driving a car to go somewhere. If you're going into the middle of a parking lot at Canadian Tire at 2 a.m, you're trespassing. Okay. Oh, boy, mom, what's going on? Good morning, Sean. Good morning to you. What about lights inside the car? New car was thinking LED on the floor. LED on the floor is fine. My vehicle has multicolor. You can dial what color you want the footwells to glow. Nothing wrong with interior lighting. Obviously, you don't want to have it affect your night vision because that's usually when you have lights on, and at night it could make it hard for you to drive safely, which would be bad. All right. Uh, so LED, and think about this: even having some low key lights inside. I see that the reminder that I've spent my 30 minutes has completed. So I'm going to try and scroll through. Um, a couple questions. Tree 40 has got some great stuff we've been talking about. Tint got hit with an $80 fix-it ticket and ticketed for tint without the cop using a tint measure. If you're in the province of Ontario, there is no tint measure required. Just the fact that I can't see in the vehicle is enough. But $80 doesn't make sense because I would charge $110 for that. That's a $110 ticket for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle. So are you out of the province? Ooh, let me know. Okay. Uh, why are rear turn signals red in North America and amber in Europe? Can I use Euro taillights? Signals in Canada can be either or, depends on the manufacturer of the vehicle. There's no like red and amber are both legal for rear in Canada or Ontario. It is a different chase. Yes, that's why I called motorcycle chase, not two dogs chase. Green lights are a touchy subject. You mean like touchy subject for volunteer fire green lights or different kind of green lights? Okay. Can we run clear tails? You can run clear tails as long as the bulb and the light being projected is the appropriate color. Now, I will tell you that uh, the reflector, like you're losing out on the reflector. There still has to be the marker light, so you have to have the appropriate color being shone in that direction. Roxy rides question: laws on East Street legal. Oh, East Street legal dirt bikes on bicycle lanes under 35 kilometers an hour. Did I get a wrongful fine? So if you have a dirt bike, so let's back it up. An e-bike is a electric bicycle that has the assisted ability of a battery or motor. Cannot be more than 120 kilos. Cannot be capable of exceeding 32 kilometers an hour. Cannot have a motor larger than 500 watts. Now, if you have an street dirt bike, you, you say legal. See, if it's a Suron, that's not legal. That is a bike capable of doing 80 plus miles an hour, from my understanding, at very least 80 kilometers. And it's not legal for the roads anywhere in Ontario. So what is it that you got? And can you be in bicycle lanes? If the only thing that can be in bicycle lanes can get a legal e-bike. And if you have a bicycle or a cycle track, which is different, it's one of those separated e-bike lanes, then you cannot be in those unless you're a pedelec. There's some restrictions. But let me know what I really want to know what you have now. Rexy rides. Did I say Rexy or Roxy when I first read your name? Anyway. Eurotails cleared. Oh, rear fogs are allowed. Rear fogs are a European thing, but they're not allowed. At least not that I'm aware of. I've seen them on vehicles that have been imported. I think they should be on every vehicle. Let's see here. I gotta go. 4 minutes. As a certified storm chaser trained by CanWarn, are we able to mount an amber light for safety? Amber lights are not a problem. You can have them. Anyone can have them. I have ambers that I can throw on for an emergency. They are good to have in a vehicle. Now, should you drive around with them? Even tow trucks when towing shouldn't have the ambers on. It's only for when they're pulled over and a hazard at the side of the road. But is it against the law? It's not. You could have them on. I don't see the purpose, but yeah. What is this? Why in this day and age is failure to provide a driver's license still a ticket? Cop cars have computers, and you have responsibilities as a licensed driver, one of which is to carry and surrender your license on demand of a police officer, along with your ownership and your insurance. Just because I can do homework for you doesn't mean you should get the grade. You have a responsibility to surrender it. It has information and it has security features in it that allow me to verify that it's valid. So just because I can look up and find out if someone with the name you provide says that they have a license doesn't mean that I should believe them. And I shouldn't have to waste time at the side of the road doing the homework for you. Now, do I have to give you a ticket? I don't have to give anybody a ticket. But would I give a ticket? Yeah, I probably would give you a ticket for not having your license. Now, if it's one thing if you live down the street and, officer, I forgot my license at home and it's just over there, maybe you get a warning. But if you do it again, should you get another warning? No, just be responsible. All right. Scrolling. We got repeat questions, no license, only ticket. What are we doing here? Morning from Neha. I'm leaving, but good morning. When are you allowed to enter an HOV lane to turn right? So it's not really an HOV lane that you're describing. You're talking about municipal diamond lanes or multi-purpose lanes. An HOV lane on the 400 series is on the left. You wouldn't be making a right turn out of it. So just to separate what we're talking here, you're talking about something like on Dufferin where it's a bus lane, diamond lane. You can enter that bus lane and you need to exit it before the next intersection, generally speaking. If you continue to use it, that is when you are going to run into problems. And the Northern Cop says, this is, by the way, follow up to the question about driver's licenses. Not only to what I said, but not only that, our computers can go down, so we can't always confirm picture for picture for identifying drivers to confirm that they're licensed, which is a very good point. And you know what? I didn't even think about the fact that our computers don't always work because technology is magical and perfect, isn't it? Yeah, not exactly. So yeah, if you don't have your license and our computers aren't working, it's still your responsibility. But regardless, it's all about doing your own homework. I don't do the homework for my kids. They do their homework. I might help them, but I don't do it for them. Okay. What do we got here? Nihal wants to know if 65% light blocking tints are legal. No. The legal limit for your vehicle to be classified as safe for the road for the purposes of certification is 30% light blockage. Anything over 30% is an unsafe motor vehicle under the Highway Traffic Act, meaning your license plates can be pulled and you can be sent packing, but not driving. But even with 30%, if I can't see you inside the vehicle, your vehicle is not legal. So you're going to get a ticket for $110 for having tints that block or obscure the interior of your motor vehicle. That's the story. Like 20% might avoid that. Like very light tint is legal. Sunglasses are the best though. That's what I'm putting in the article that I'm publishing later today. So I saw that in one of your videos that you recently got tint. If you got 65% light blockage, I go back and say, this ain't legal, fix it. If you're talking about the fact that 65% of the light is coming through, better, but still illegal. You need 70% of the light to come through in order to be certifiable. Some people would say many of us are certifiable. Okay. Rexy follows up with pulled over 35 kilometers an hour on an electric street legal dirt bike on bicycle lane. Wrongful. Okay, so you're if you did 35 kilometers an hour, you were over the legal limit of 32 kilometers an hour. I would have charged you for driving an unlicensed motorcycle on the road. So not legal, and the fact that it's capable of 35 kilometers an hour under power, totally not legal, unless you were going downhill, maybe, because then you could be maxed out at 32K, but you were going faster because of gravity, not because of engines. But 35K on flat or uphill, you're toast, my friend. I wouldn't even let you drive it away. You'd have to walk it, take the battery out and walk it. All right. Niha, N was answering Niha. Okay. Oh, and Tree 40. So this is actually really good to mention. Thank you, Tree 40. The windows that are regulated in Ontario for tint are the windows directly left and right of the driver. So driver's side window, front passenger side window, and the windshield. Those are the ones. Windshield can have nothing. The ones left and right can have up to 30% light blockage for certification. Okay, well, lots of confirmations here. Okay, rear windows can be anything you want. Peel. Oh, okay, Peel. I don't know what the bylaws are in Peel are for that stuff. Quinner wants to know when I retired. I left August 30th was my last day in the office. I think it was a Friday. Maybe it was the 31st. I don't know. It was so long ago. Tino says you live here but have unpaid tickets from Europe. You live here or I live here? Because I do live here, but I have nothing in Europe. So you're asking if the tickets can affect you here? I'm not aware of any reciprocal agreements with Europe, but who knows? The internet's a magical thing. Let's see here. My car is plated in Quebec. My tints are extremely dark. Ontario police still pull me over. Yes, because you have unsafe tints. If you're first of all, if you live here and you're plated in Quebec, you might be involved in insurance fraud. If you are visiting from Quebec, then that's a different thing. But in Ontario, if you live in Ontario and you're plated there, that's insurance fraud, and you'd be eligible for tickets up the wazoo. But yeah, if you were visiting from anywhere and your tints were illegal to the point where it's considered unsafe for the roads here, you get the tickets. There's no exemption for having crappy dark tints. Okay. I gotta go, and I think I've come to the end of my list anyway. Now we've got a chase, a fight of the chases, chase 1 and chase 2, motorcycle chase versus 2-dog chase. Yeah, I'm not going to weigh in on that. James Bismack says win. I'm assuming the W is for win. Doug Ford removing bike lanes. It does look that way, and I got to say I'm not against it. I think it's great that the cars are going to get their roads back, and traffic is going to start moving better if they actually remove them. Because while I'm all for protecting vulnerable road users, empty bike lanes just screw with traffic. There's not that many bikes on the road that I can see, and when I for all the years that I spent as a rider, I just rode at the right side of the road, and I was fine. But anyway. Does an X restriction on your license increase your insurance? So having an XB that you have glasses, is that the restriction you're talking about? I don't believe so. As long as you meet the requirements of vision and you're licensed, you should be fine. But I'm not an insurance person, so I couldn't tell you whether it does or doesn't. Aaron Noteric says, I met you at the auto show last year. Need more cops like you. Thank you, Aaron. And now I'm not a cop anymore. So there you go. I've since retired. but I appreciate the compliment. Okay. Okay. So Rexy follows up with saying it's a Talaria and and sure it can go faster, but he clocked me at 34, legal with mirror lights pedal. So Talaria, I gotta look at the manufacturer, but I got news for you. It's not legal. Your vehicle, you've just said, can go faster than 32 kilometers an hour. And the law says it cannot be capable of going faster. So you have a e-bike that is not an e-bike. It is a motorcycle, and it does not qualify under the province's requirements for e-bikes. It is not legal anywhere on any road in the province of Ontario unless you were to get it safetied, insured, and licensed as a motorcycle. That e-bike, which isn't an e-bike, isn't it's just not legal. So I'm surprised they didn't charge you for having no insurance on a motor vehicle, which has a $5,000 to $25,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. Don't ride your bike in Ontario. It's not legal for the road. And if someone lied to you and told you it was, you might want to take it up with them because they're full of crap. And they took your money so they could sell you a bike and make you believe that you were doing the right thing when you weren't. So if you have a Tesla and you only drive at 32 kilometers an hour, is it an electric bicycle? No, it's still a car that you're driving under a particular limit. So you're absolutely in the zone for getting major tickets. Unsafe motor vehicle, like I would charge you for everything. I would. Now I was at the what was I was working at an event. I was not in uniform. Was I in uniform? Anyway, I was not there for the purposes of enforcement, but I came across somebody who had an illegal bike. They were towing a trailer. I gave them an education and they walked it home as opposed to charging them. But you would be absolutely good for every ticket under the sun. All right. Neha is confused. Message me, Neha. I'll try and explain. Oh, tints ripped off after 15 minutes. You were saying they were low quality. How's retirement going? It's going good. And I'm getting a reminder from my wife to go get ready because we have somewhere to go. Okay. It's been a blast. I will just go to the one pinned dad joke and read it. Dad, I need some new school supplies like pencils, markers, and scissors. Well, I can't get you scissors. I don't want you cutting class. Not your best work. Not your best work. You've had so many better. All right. Have a great day. I'll be back when I can be. And until then.